tell the audience what happened with your nursing career and then how you end up doing this and what's happening to you now today.
Yeah, so this story is maybe not one of my finest, but I've learned to embrace it.
Go ahead, do it.
So we opened up Melt Well in March of 20, and we all know what happened in March of
Oh,
20, right? The world blew up.
right.
I signed a lease on the studio. I was working as a nurse at the time remotely because nobody could go into the office during the pandemic. I had an option at that point to either not open or to open. And I said, you know what? This is going to be awesome for people. So I decided to full on go through. June 1st, we opened our doors. And mind you, I'm still working remotely as a nurse, taking calls from physicians, you know, going through both jobs, straddling both
Mhm.
50% with the healthcare job and then 50% with the studio. Eventually, the wheels fell off the bus.
Of course they did.
I had to go with the one that I had the investment in. But so I remember distinctly, I was on the phone with a doctor and I had clients walking in. We were so busy. We were essential healthcare. So we were able to keep our doors open and we were like the hottest new thing in town, no pun intended, because we were a sauna studio. But people were like, I mean, I couldn't keep them. I
Wow.
couldn't keep the doors unlocked anyway. So I'm on the phone with the doctor and he's saying, okay, I need help with this. I said, oh, do you mind, Dr. James? I just got to put you on hold for a second. And I've got two clients in the room going, hey, this is how the light works. This is how the TV works. And enjoy your session. And I'm back on the phone with him going, I'm so sorry. So eventually our leadership called me over Zoom. I'm in the laundry room of the studio with my video off. And they're like, we really just feel like you got some other stuff going on. We're gonna part ways. And I had maybe 5 seconds to be like, okay, wipe my eyes,
Right.
go back, room the next client. I don't recommend that to anybody, but it's reality. It's
That's
what happened.
that's great. Now, but there's a great ending to the story now. So now Meltwell, it's going great. And now what happens with the same hospital?
Yeah. So unbeknownst to them, they have been sponsoring events and hiring us to do cold plunges.
That's great. The
And
people
I'm
that
super
fired you.
grateful.
That's great. You know, Amanda, I say this all kidding aside, it's pretty hard. I mean, as a nurse, they let you go in the middle of 2020. Like they knew you were
Yeah.
up, they knew you were up to something else.
I don't know, Frank. Can they really prove it?
All right, sure, why not? It's great though that I mean, you were very, very fortunate that you had something going absolute gangbusters though.
But I knew it. I knew the benefits of it. And I knew that keeping that studio open and opening right in the middle of all this stuff was only going to benefit people. It was private. You were
Yeah,
detoxing. It boosts your immunity. I bet on a good horse. I knew.
absolutely. Had you been in business before?
No, my dad's always been an entrepreneur, so I grew up around that. Life
Right.
and saw the risks sometimes that it took when the hard work paid off, working more than 60 hours a week. Like I definitely grew up knowing what it took to run a business and to
Mm-hmm.
be a part of that. But owning one myself, no, I had never.
Well, that I think that's great though to share with the audience because I interview mostly like emerging founders, and in many cases, there are folks that don't come from a entrepreneurial background. Their family probably told them all the reasons why their business won't work, and you're definitely on the minority side of things where you actually had family that probably encouraged it because that's what they did. And you saw how it can work, right? As opposed to people hearing all the stories from their family. You don't want to go into business because I know somebody that did that and they failed. And, you know, there's this,
Yeah.
all the crazy statistics on why people fail in business, which are accurate. But quite honestly, a lot of people shouldn't be in business for themselves.
Yeah. But look, Frank, I opened up a sauna studio in South Louisiana. I mean, we're one of the hottest places on earth. Like I definitely had a lot of pushback going, are you crazy? What are you doing? Just buy one for yourself, put it in your house. Like, no, I want to share this with our all my family and friends and community. I want people to see what I see and
That's
feel what I feel.
But you initially licensed the concept from a company in Vegas, right? And then you later
Yeah.
bought the agreement. So tell me kind of the genesis of that.
Okay, so I spent about a year after I got home from that Groupon experience,
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure out how to build it myself. A lot of research on other sauna studios throughout the country, just doing, due diligence and seeing what was out there. How can I build my own? So I ended up going to Vegas, and there was a studio out there that I really, really fell in love with. If I were going to do it at that point, that's exactly how I would have done it. So I walked in, there was a girl behind the desk, happened to be the owner. And I said, "Hey, I'm Amanda. I'm from New Orleans. I want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do this with you." And they had never licensed, they had never franchised. So we spent the next 3 days I was there just going over, how to do it, what it would look like. And then it was, I think within 4 or 5 months, I had signed the lease on opening a studio.
Wow, that's so
Yeah.
super cool. Awesome. So now let's bring everybody up to speed here on franchising. So first off, so you've got one company on location, you have one franchise now in Louisiana. Your brand new FDD for 2024 is about to go live here in the next few weeks. So that's got to be super exciting. But I'm kind of curious on what made you explore franchising, or why did you think franchising was right for you?
Yeah. So I didn't have that in the forefront when I was running the store. I'm owner operator,
Mm-hmm.
but I had clients constantly asking me, "Okay, we want to open this." And I know this story is probably familiar. A lot of entrepreneurs and franchisors go this route. So one of my clients said, "Okay, Amanda, I want to open up a sauna studio, a sauna and cold plunge studio." And my heart sunk. I thought she wanted to be my competitor. Like, I didn't see that she wanted to replicate my model.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's when it hit me, like, okay, we opened her store. It was exactly how mine is. We had all the systems in place. This is a replicable model, and it could go fast.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can open this, and it could operate in almost any place of the country, every part of the country. So that it was like a light bulb went off. And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Right. And a lot of people that go into franchising, well, first off, don't have franchise experience or anything in background of franchising, but a lot of people go into franchising because they get like this just overwhelming, response from people that say, "I want to do this. How can I do this?" And that's not necessarily always the right reason to go into franchising. That's why I want to share that with, folks that are listening, because there's some people who they have no business franchising their concept, but you said something that was very important. It was something you knew that could be replicated, right?
Right, and very easily.
Now let's take it to the next step though. What do you think you guys do at Meltwell different?
So I think that I know that having the cold plunge, the sauna, and the vitamin C shower all in one suite, it's been huge. There's not really a model out there that's like that. It's such a private, elevated experience for clients.
Mm-hmm.
There's surround sound in the suites, and you can put on your own podcast, a Frank podcast, perhaps. Your own TV show, your own sound bath in the background. You can jump from the cold plunge to the sauna to the cold plunge, or you can do just the cold plunge, or you can, do the sauna for 40 minutes in the cold plunge. It's really completely up to the client how they want to experience it. And that's a huge edge for us.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Now, as we start expanding your franchise concept really, really soon, are you looking to grow initially in regions of the country here, like in the Southeast, or are you thinking just kind of blow this thing out, shotgun across the country? What's your strategy for growth?
It's funny. So the advice has been kind of across the board, like keep your nucleus together,
Mm-hmm.
or I've even had like, if they're coming, sell them. Like, it's really interesting people's thought process on growth.
There are two schools of thought. What do you think?
Yeah. I like the idea of keeping our nucleus
Mm-hmm.
tight, like starting in the South. But I also think that if our foundation is strong enough that we can support training, which we can, and our team is in place, and our systems are all there, and our ops manual and all of that, fabulous stuff that we've worked so hard
Sure.
to make, then I think there's no reason why you can't be successful anywhere else in the country.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fiume, or Emerging Franchise Group LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.